Today's story is about a haunted piece of land in the U Minh Forest inIen Giang, Vietnam. About 15 years ago, around 2008 or 2009, her family was impoverished. And Mrs. Sao, a couple in their 50s, led a demonstration to demand fairer land distribution. The forest land was unevenly distributed, with some having ample land and others having none. Even though the land was already cultivated, they protested for more equitable access. Her daughter, being only in 5th grade at the time, didn't fully understand the protest's purpose. She adds a note that those familiar with Town 11 could explain it better. Many participated, but her family stayed home, focusing on work and fearing potential conflict with authorities. Following the protest, the government announced that land would be distributed to landless households through a lottery system, and her family applied. The next day, eligible households were to go to the village office for the lottery. Her father was scheduled to participate, but the night before, he had another experience he would never forget. They were incredibly poor, surviving on the meager earnings her parents made as day laborers. He went fishing as usual. While fishing, he saw what appeared to be one weasel, then 2, 3, and then dozens, possibly hundreds of weasels. He wasn't overly concerned, just thinking to tell Mr. Nam about it in the morning, around 3 a.m. As he packed up, he heard rustling in the banana trees nearby, their leaves shaking. There was no wind. He looked up and saw a young child, about 6 years old, dressed in a brown AO dye, with glowing red eyes and a toothy grin. The child seemed poised to jump into his boat. Every day, they worked cutting rice for others, barely scraping by to support her younger siblings' education. He realized this wasn't just an animal. It was something supernatural. He grabbed a machete and slashed at the banana tree to ward off the entity. The child disappeared after he cut the tree. He quickly fled to the main river, about 5 kilometers from home. Along the riverbank lived people who set traps for shrimp and fish, often sleeping there at night. One of them, noticing his frantic rowing, called out. He recognized the man and stopped. The conversation lasted until nearly 6 a.m. before he reached home. Because rice cutting didn't provide enough income, her father took on extra work at a building materials store in Town 11. His mother was frantic. There were no phones to communicate. He told her what happened, his voice trembling and dropping his cigarette. She told him to stop fishing there. The next day, they went to the village office for the lottery. His number was 43, in plot 27. He was stunned. This was the same haunted land. He didn't tell his mother, afraid she would be terrified. The plot was large, divided into 2 sections, with one allotted to her family. He intentionally chose the section away from the haunted area. After only a short time, he suffered a terrible accident. The family was overjoyed. They eagerly began clearing the land, preparing to build a small home and cultivate the plot. Around 5 p.m., they prepared to leave when they saw a large tree fall to the ground. His mother didn't think much of it, assuming it was affected by rot, but his father knew better. The next day, the tree was gone. This unnerved his mother, so she stayed home while his father continued clearing the land. His daughter went along, exploring and picking fruit. She discovered a white concrete foundation hidden by the overgrown vegetation. His job involved assisting with the loading of cement onto trucks. It looked like an old, abandoned house. Only the pillars were still standing, not the walls. His daughter suggested demolishing it. He refused, unsure of its history. He decided to cut down some trees from a higher area, making a temporary shelter. He stayed there alone, fishing at night and bringing the catch to his family in the morning. One day, his mother noticed that he hadn't brought any fish. She assumed he had overslept. By 11 a.m., a neighbor informed her that her husband had collapsed in the shelter. He was standing behind a cement-laden cart, helping the other worker. He was carried home on a boat and rushed to the hospital. A neighbor who had stopped by to get some fish sauce told his mother how he found him unconscious. His face was pale and he was covered in sweat. The doctor diagnosed him with a common fever, but his mother said it was unusual. Normally a strong man, he'd suddenly become unconscious. She stayed at the hospital for a week. A woman in the next bed noticed his unusual symptoms and suggested seeing a spiritual healer. The healer asked his mother what she would think if someone took over her home and insulted her. The healer explained that her husband had built on someone else's land without permission and had been disrespectful, resulting in the haunting. The solution was to offer a food offering to appease the spirits and move out of the house. Another man was guiding the cart. At home, he recounted dreams of a young man telling him to leave that place. He'd ignored it. One morning, before his collapse, he discovered his house ransacked and his salt missing. He angrily cursed whoever had done it. Then he felt unwell, lay down, and fainted. After recovering in the hospital, he demolished the old shelter. Mr. Sao happened upon him, and a conversation revealed a past story. The concrete foundation was on the site of a young man's grave. His family had removed the remains, but the restless spirit remained. Somehow, the guiding worker lost control of the cart, and it began rolling down a slope. The foundation was the old house of the previous landowner, who had moved away, leaving only the pillars standing to mark the site. Mr. Sao added another detail. The previous landowner's son had once brought his new wife to the house to stay. She went outside to relieve herself at night, carrying a lamp. Across the small clearing, she saw a figure in white, rocking in a hammock. She was terrified and ran inside. The husband saw it too. They immediately left and never returned. The reason the previous owner only removed the house, not the pillars, is that the area wasn't a residential one but was for forestry. Her father tried to avoid it, but the cart was moving too fast. People sometimes built temporary shelters there to guard their plots. Since then, the family moved, and the problems ceased. That concludes today's story from the U Minh Forest. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. And now, let's look forward to the next episode. Today's story recounts a haunting incident on a piece of land within the U Minh Forest in Quang Trong Province, Vietnam. This expansive mangrove forest is one of the largest in Vietnam and exceptionally rare globally. Its sheer size and unique ecosystem are truly remarkable. Many are unaware of the U Minh Forest's reputation. But for me, the very name evokes a sense of unease, a feeling deeply rooted in its untamed, desolate character. Beyond its pristine, richly biodiverse beauty, the forest is steeped in mystery and spiritual lore, a place famously associated with numerous unsettling ghost stories. This is one of the largest mangrove forests in Vietnam, and indeed quite rare worldwide. It struck him, crushing his leg from his ankle to his knee. Today's narrative is one such tale. Let us begin. The story originates from a woman residing in An Minh District, Quang Trong Province, specifically Town 11, situated within the broader Sa Mau region. The mention of Sa Mau instantly conjures images of remoteness and isolation. a place situated at the southernmost tip of Vietnam, geographically distant and somewhat cut off from the rest of the country. The entire account details events experienced by her father. Approximately 15 years ago, around 2008 or 2009, her family faced extreme poverty. They were exceedingly poor, struggling to survive on the meager wages her parents earned as daily laborers. Their daily toil involved arduous rice harvesting for others, a backbreaking task barely sufficient to cover the expenses of her younger siblings' education. The insufficient income from rice harvesting forced her father to take on additional work at a local building materials store in Town 11. After a relatively short period, a devastating accident occurred. His duties included assisting in loading cement onto trucks. He was unable to work for a very long time. In fact, he couldn't work at all. He was positioned behind a heavy cart laden with cement, aiding another worker who was guiding the cart. Tragically, the worker guiding the cart lost control, causing it to roll uncontrollably down a slight incline. Her father desperately attempted to evade the oncoming cart, but its momentum was too great. The cart struck him, inflicting a severe crushing injury to his leg, from ankle to knee. This left him completely unable to work for an extended period. His ability to perform any physical labor was completely eliminated. Their already precarious situation deteriorated significantly. He could no longer participate in rice harvesting or continue his work at the store, plunging the family into further hardship. After several months spent recovering at home, a neighbor, Mr. Nam, visited. Observing her father's condition, Mr. Nam compassionately offered a suggestion. Given your leg injury, working is impossible for now. Their already difficult situation worsened. Once it's improved somewhat, let's go fishing together at night. We can sell our catch in the morning to earn some money for food. What do you think? Mr. Nam's suggestion was thoughtful, considering her father's limited physical capabilities. The work involved on a fishing boat would be relatively light, minimizing strain on his injured leg. Her father readily agreed, as the proposed fishing activity didn't demand strenuous physical exertion. Once his leg had sufficiently healed, they commenced fishing together on a regular basis. Each morning around 5 a.m., he couldn't cut rice or work at the store. Mr. Nam meticulously prepared the bait and fishing gear. They ventured into the U Minh Forest around 5 p.m. each evening. The specific location of their fishing expeditions was situated between the lower and upper reaches of the U Minh Forest, an area known for its freshwater, teeming with abundant fish and shrimp. Many villagers in their community relied on this method for sustenance and income. Her father had previously heard various accounts and spiritual narratives concerning the forest, yet he possessed a courageous spirit, displaying an unwavering lack of fear. When questioned by Mr. Nam about any apprehension, her father confidently declared, "What is there to fear?" After several months at home, a neighbor, Mr. I'm not afraid. Their initial fishing ventures proceeded without incident. Due to the relative lack of fishing activity in that particular area, the fish population was remarkably dense. Their catches were consistently substantial. After some time, her father's leg had fully recovered, although he still found strenuous physical labor challenging. He initially considered returning to his previous jobs, but the substantial income from fishing proved too tempting. He managed to save a significant amount of money and ultimately decided to pursue fishing independently, acquiring his own fishing equipment and purchasing a used boat, freeing himself from his reliance on Mr. Nam's assistance. Despite no longer fishing as partners, They frequently visited the forest independently. During one of his solitary fishing excursions, her father encountered a previously untouched fishing spot. He curiously questioned Mr. Nam came to visit Nam regarding its lack of utilization. Mr. Nam responded with a cautionary warning. That area is notoriously spooky. Individuals who have fished there have invariably experienced frightening incidents. Consequently, no one dares to venture there anymore. Most individuals would understandably avoid such a place. However, her father, recognizing the potential for exceptionally plentiful fish, resolved to test his luck. His first day of fishing in this location proved uneventful. The fish were indeed plentiful, exceeding his expectations. His second day yielded similar results. However, on the third day, a significant shift in circumstances occurred. He fished until nearly dawn, taking meticulous care to maintain the freshness of his catch for the market. Seeing his condition, Mr. Around 4 a.m. As he prepared to turn his boat homeward, he spotted a sizable patch of water spinach, a vegetable he considered ideal for preparing a delicious sour soup. He maneuvered his boat closer to harvest some of this seemingly delectable vegetable. As he reached for the tender shoots, he observed that the spinach leaves were inexplicably moving back and forth, despite the complete stillness of the surrounding trees. A remarkable lack of wind made the movement even more puzzling and inexplicable. This unsettling observation instilled a profound sense of fear within him, prompting him to swiftly return home. Upon relating the incident to Mr. Nam's response was, "See? I warned you." Nam suggested, "Your legs like that, you can't work. No one ventures there without experiencing something. It's haunted." Yet, undeterred by his initial fright and driven by the prospect of abundant fish, her father persisted in fishing in that same location. Subsequently, he encountered even more terrifying events. One evening, while fishing in the same area, he was seated at the bow of his boat, preparing to cast his fishing line. Adjacent to him was a line of melaleuca trees, common in the region. He initially heard a rustling sound, resembling the gentle sound of wind passing through the branches of the trees. He initially paid little attention to the sound, continuing his preparations. However, just as he was about to cast his line, he witnessed a large, dark object falling from the trees, plunging into the water with considerable force. The object appeared substantial and descended rapidly. "Once it's a little better, let's go fishing together at night." The impact created a sizable ripple, displacing the water hyacinth and duckweed in a clear circle, as if something heavy had sunk beneath the surface. The force of the object's impact caused the bow of his boat to rise noticeably, due to his weight being concentrated at the opposite end. The object was demonstrably heavier than himself. He felt the object land in the boat before rapidly disappearing underwater, leaving behind a noticeably large circular clearing within the water hyacinth. He was extraordinarily fortunate that his boat did not capsize. This was the defining moment when he truly recognized that he was confronting a supernatural phenomenon. He immediately and precipitously returned home in the dead of night. His daughter later commented on her father's remarkable courage, or perhaps foolhardiness, noting his persistence in returning to the same ominous location despite his terrifying experiences. However, he gradually began fishing deeper within the area, and the strange occurrences eventually ceased. Fast forward to 2009. "We'll sell the catch in the morning to earn some money for food." A significant protest took place near their home. Mr. and Mrs. Sao, a middle-aged couple in their 50s, spearheaded a demonstration demanding a fairer distribution of land within the community. The allocation of forest land was demonstrably uneven, with some individuals possessing extensive tracts of land while others remained landless. Despite the existing cultivated land, they actively protested for more equitable access to the resources. Her daughter, being only in 5th grade at the time, did not fully grasp the intricate details and nuances of the protest's objectives. She added a note suggesting that individuals familiar with Town 11 would be better equipped to provide a comprehensive explanation. Although many individuals participated in the protest, her family remained at home, prioritizing their work and apprehensive about potential conflicts with authorities. Following the protest, the government announced a plan to distribute land to landless households through a lottery system. Many people may not know this, but just hearing the name U Minh fills me with a sense of dread because of its wild, desolate nature. What do you think? Her family eagerly submitted an application, hoping to improve their circumstances. The day after the announcement, eligible households were instructed to report to the village office for the lottery drawing. Her father was scheduled to participate, but the night before, he experienced an unforgettable incident that would profoundly impact his life. He went fishing as usual. While fishing, he observed what initially appeared to be a single weasel, then 2, then 3, and ultimately dozens, perhaps even hundreds of weasels. He wasn't excessively alarmed at first, merely intending to inform Mr. Nam about the unusual sight the following morning. Around 3 a.m., as he prepared to pack up his fishing gear, he heard rustling sounds emanating from the nearby banana trees, their leaves visibly shaking. Remarkably, there was absolutely no wind. He looked up and beheld the startling sight of a young child, approximately 6 years old, clad in a brown ao dye, traditional Vietnamese dress, possessing intensely glowing red eyes and an unsettling toothy grin. The child seemed poised to jump into his boat. At this point, he unequivocally realized that this was not a simple animal. It was undoubtedly a supernatural entity. Reacting swiftly, he grabbed his machete and forcefully slashed at the banana tree in an attempt to ward off the entity. Following this action, the child vanished. He immediately fled towards the main river, approximately 5 kilometers from his home. Along the riverbank lived individuals who set traps for shrimp and fish, often sleeping there overnight. One such individual, noticing his frantic rowing, called out to him. Upon recognizing the man, he stopped his boat. Nam didn't want her father overexerting himself, suggesting only light work on a boat. They engaged in conversation that extended until nearly 6 a.m. Before he finally reached his home, his mother was distraught due to the lack of communication technology, no phones, in the remote area, adding to her worry and anxiety during this unsettling period. He recounted the events of the night, his voice trembling and his hand shaking as he dropped his cigarette. His mother, deeply concerned, urged him to cease fishing in that haunted area. The following day, they proceeded to the village office for the land lottery. His assigned number was 43, corresponding to plot 27. He was stunned. This was, in fact, the very same haunted land. Her father agreed, as it didn't require much movement, minimizing strain on his injured leg. He chose not to inform his mother, fearful of causing her undue distress. The plot was substantial, divided into 2 sections, with one allocated to his family. He deliberately selected the section furthest from the reportedly haunted area. The family was overjoyed at this unexpected good fortune. They enthusiastically began clearing the land, making preparations to construct a small dwelling and cultivate their newly acquired plot. Around 5 p.m., as they prepared to depart, they witnessed a large tree falling to the ground. His mother initially dismissed it as a tree affected by rot, a common occurrence. However, his father harbored a stronger sense of foreboding. Once his leg healed, they began fishing together regularly. The following day, the fallen tree had mysteriously vanished. This unusual event unnerved his mother, prompting her to remain at home while his father continued clearing the land. His daughter accompanied her father, exploring and collecting fruit. She unexpectedly discovered a white concrete foundation concealed beneath the overgrown vegetation. It resembled the remains of an old, abandoned house, with only the supporting pillars still standing, the walls having long since crumbled. His daughter suggested demolishing the foundation. He refused, uncertain about the foundation's history and apprehensive of disturbing any potentially associated spirits. He decided to fell some trees from a higher area to create a temporary shelter. He remained there alone, engaging in his nightly fishing activities, bringing the day's catch back to his family in the morning. One day, his mother noticed that he had not brought any fish home. Every morning around 5 a.m., she initially assumed that he had overslept. However, by 11 a.m., a neighbor informed her that her husband had collapsed in his temporary shelter. He was transported home by boat and immediately rushed to the hospital. A neighbor, who had stopped by to obtain some fish sauce, related to his mother how he discovered her husband unconscious. His face was pale and he was profusely sweating. The doctor's diagnosis was a common fever, but his mother sensed something more unusual was at play. Normally a robust and healthy man, his sudden collapse struck her as extraordinarily strange and concerning. She remained at the hospital for a week, constantly tending to him. A woman in the adjacent hospital bed noticed his unusual symptoms and recommended seeking the assistance of a spiritual healer. The healer posed a question to his mother. "What would you think if someone took over your home and showed you disrespect?" The healer then explained that her husband had inadvertently built on someone else's land without permission and had, perhaps unknowingly, displayed disrespectful behavior towards the spirits of the land, thus resulting in the haunting. The proposed solution was to offer a food offering to appease the spirits and relocate, moving away from the house. At home, he recounted dreams involving a young man who repeatedly urged him to abandon that location. He had consistently disregarded these warnings. One morning, before his collapse, he discovered his house ransacked, and his salt, a significant item in their culture, missing. He angrily cursed the perpetrator of this act. Immediately afterward, he felt unwell, lay down, and subsequently fainted. Following his recovery at the hospital, he demolished the old shelter. He happened upon Mr. Sao, leading to a significant conversation that revealed a previously unknown past. The concrete foundation was, in fact, situated on the site of a young man's grave. His family had previously removed the remains, but the restless spirit had inexplicably remained. The foundation was the remnant of the old house belonging to the previous landowner, who had relocated, leaving only the pillars standing as markers of the site. Mr. Sao provided an additional detail that contributed to understanding the history of the place. The previous landowner's son had once brought his new bride to the house. One night, she went outside to relieve herself, carrying a lamp. Across a small clearing, she saw a figure in white, gently rocking in a hammock. Nam would prepare the bait and fishing gear. Terrified, she ran back inside. The husband also witnessed the figure. They immediately left and never returned to that house. The reason the previous owner only removed the house but left the pillars standing is due to the area's primary designation as forestry land, not residential. People sometimes built temporary shelters there to guard their plots or to work near their plots. Since relocating, the family experienced no further problems. This concludes today's story from the haunting U Minh Forest. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And now let's look forward to the next episode. They would head into the U Minh Forest around 5 p.m. Along with its pristine, rich beauty, the forest holds many mysterious, spiritual secrets, especially countless spooky ghost stories. The area where they fished was between the lower and upper sections of the U Minh Forest. It was freshwater, abundant with fish and shrimp. Many in their village earned their living this way. Her father had heard many spiritual tales about the forest, but he was a brave man, unafraid of anything. When Mr. Nam asked if he was scared, her father replied, "What's there to be afraid of? I'm not scared." Their initial fishing trips were uneventful. Because no one fished in that particular area, the fish were plentiful. They caught many every time. Today's story is just such a tale. After a while, her father's leg had fully healed, though heavy labor was still difficult. He contemplated returning to his old work, but fishing was proving quite lucrative. He'd saved some money and decided to fish independently, making his own fishing gear and purchasing a used boat, no longer relying on Mr. Nam. Though they no longer fished together, they often ventured into the forest separately. One day, while boating, her father noticed an untouched fishing spot. He asked Mr. Nam why no one fished there. Mr. Nam replied, "That area's spooky. Let's begin." People who fished there always experienced frightening incidents. No one goes there anymore. Most people would avoid such a place, but her father, seeing the potential for abundant fish, decided to try it. His first day fishing there was uneventful. The fish were indeed plentiful. The second day was the same, but on the third day things changed. He fished until nearly dawn, ensuring the fish remained fresh for market. Around 4 a.m., as he turned his boat to head home, he saw a large patch of water spinach. It looked incredibly delicious, perfect for a sour soup. This story comes from a woman who lives in an Minh district, Kianjiang province, specifically a place called Town 11 in the Tsamao region. He steered the boat closer to harvest some. As he reached for the tender shoots, he noticed the spinach leaves bobbing back and forth, even though the surrounding trees were perfectly still. There was no wind. He realized he was scared and quickly headed home. Mr. Nam, upon hearing this, said, "See? I told you. No one goes there without experiencing something. It's haunted." But her father, undeterred by his fear and the abundance of fish, continued fishing there. Hearing Tsamao immediately brings to mind a remote, isolated area, located at the very bottom of the Vietnamese map. Later, he experienced even more terrifying events. One evening, while fishing in the same area, he was sitting at the bow of his boat, preparing to cast his line. Next to him was a line of melaleuca trees. He heard a rustling sound, like wind blowing through the branches. He didn't initially pay attention. As he was about to cast his line, he saw a large, dark object fall from the trees, plunging into the water. The object was sizable and fell quickly. It created a ripple, clearing a space among the water hyacinth and duckweed, as if it had sunk beneath the surface. The impact caused the bow of the boat to rise because his weight was at the other end. The object was heavier than he was. The entire story details events experienced by her father. It landed in the boat and then quickly disappeared underwater. A large circle of water hyacinth cleared around the spot. He was lucky the boat didn't capsize. This is when he truly knew he was facing something supernatural. He immediately returned home in the middle of the night. His daughter said no one was as fearless and foolish as her father. He kept going back to that same spot. However, he started fishing deeper inside the area, and the strange happenings ceased. Fast forward to 2009. A protest took place near his home. Mr.